Attachment is the root of every manipulation, every power play, every attempt to control you. People can only push your buttons if you keep wearing them proudly on your sleeve. The art of detachment isn't about becoming cold or empty. It's about understanding that your power grows in proportion to how little you need from others. When you stop needing their approval, their validation, their acceptance, you become immune to their attempts to control you through these wants. That's when you start seeing the game for what it really is. Most people live in a constant state of emotional reactivity. Someone says something, they react. Someone does something, they react. Like puppets dancing on strings they don't even see. But detachment? That's about cutting those strings one by one. First, you notice them. Then you understand how they're being pulled. Finally, you learn to let them move without moving you. Your reactions become choices rather than compulsions. This transformation from reactive puppet to conscious player changes everything. The funny thing about mastering detachment is how it reveals what other people are actually seeking from you. Watch carefully as they try their usual tactics: the guilt trips, the emotional blackmail, the subtle manipulations. Without your emotional involvement, these moves become transparent, almost comical in their obviousness. It's like watching a magician perform when you already know all the tricks. Their power dissolves the moment you see the mechanics behind their magic. Power shifts dramatically when you learn to stay detached while others get emotional. In any interaction, the person with the least emotional investment usually has the most influence. Think about it. When you're caught up in feelings, you make decisions based on emotion rather than strategy. But when you maintain detachment, you see opportunities others miss, recognize patterns they're too emotional to notice. Your clarity becomes your advantage. Your emotional distance becomes your strength. Understanding emotional distance reveals something fascinating about human nature. People respect what they can't control, and they can't control what they can't affect emotionally. Your detachment becomes a force field that makes others question their usual strategies. They're used to dealing with people who are easily swayed by emotional appeals, who need validation, who fear rejection. When these tactics stop working on you, they're forced to either respect your boundaries or reveal their true motives. Notice how differently you perceive situations when you're not emotionally tangled in them. It's like stepping back from a painting. Suddenly, you see the whole picture instead of just the brush strokes. Detachment gives you this broader perspective. You start recognizing patterns in chaos, seeing opportunities in crisis, understanding how to use circumstances rather than being used by them. This elevated viewpoint becomes your strategic advantage in every situation. The art of letting go transforms every relationship dynamic in your life. When you stop clinging to specific outcomes, stop needing people to behave certain ways, stop requiring situations to unfold according to your preferences, you gain a kind of freedom that most never experience. Your detachment doesn't just protect you. It gives you the ability to move through life with a flexibility that attached people can't comprehend. You become like water, adapting to any situation while remaining essentially unchanged by it. Practicing detachment reveals the difference between response and reaction. Reactions are automatic, emotional, often regrettable. Responses are chosen, strategic, always calculated for maximum effect. When you master emotional detachment, you gain the ability to pause between stimulus and response. In that pause lies your power, The power to choose how you'll engage, if you'll engage at all. This ability to create space between what happens and how you deal with it becomes your greatest strength. The ultimate power of detachment comes from understanding that nothing and no one is worth sacrificing your inner peace for. Not relationships, not opportunities, not success or failure. When you truly grasp this, you stop giving away your power through emotional attachment to outcomes. You learn to play the game without becoming the game. Your moves become cleaner, your decisions sharper, your actions more effective, all because you're not clouded by emotional investment in how things turn out. Fear of loss creates the perfect prison because you become your own jailer. Think about everything you're desperately holding on to right now. Relationships, possessions, status, reputation. Each attachment is like a chain you willingly wrap around yourself. The more you have to lose, the more strings others can pull to control you. Your fear of losing these things gives everyone else the blueprint to your manipulation. Jealousy exists only where attachment breeds. Watch how it poisons everything it touches. You see someone else succeed, and instead of learning from it, you feel threatened. Someone else gets attention, and you feel diminished. Your friend finds a new friend, and suddenly, you're counting all the ways you might be replaced. This is the shadow that attachment casts, turning every blessing into a potential curse, every opportunity into a threat. You've become so focused on protecting what you have that you can't see what you're missing. The mind plays fascinating tricks when you're attached to outcomes. Every possibility becomes a potential threat. Every change becomes a possible loss. You start living in a future that hasn't happened yet, fighting battles that only exist in your head. Your attachment to specific results turns life into a constant source of anxiety. But here's the real punchline. The things you're so desperately trying to control are usually the very things destroying your peace of mind. Possession is an illusion that costs you everything. What you think you own actually owns you. That career you're so proud of, it dictates where you live, when you sleep, how you spend your time. That relationship you can't let go of, it determines your mood, your decisions, your freedom. These attachments aren't assets, they're liabilities. Each one is a pressure point that life can squeeze whenever it wants to bring you to your knees. True power comes from having nothing to lose. Training yourself to let go requires understanding a simple truth. Everything is temporary. Your possessions, your relationships, your successes, your failures, none of it lasts forever. The more you clutch at temporary things, the more you suffer when they inevitably change or disappear. But when you accept the temporary nature of everything, you gain a different kind of power. You stop living in fear of loss and start experiencing everything more fully, precisely because you know it won't last. Greed grows directly from attachment soil. You accumulate more because you're afraid of having less. You chase success because you're attached to an image of yourself. You hoard relationships because you're scared of being alone. Each attachment creates a new form of greed, a new kind of hunger that can never be satisfied. The only way to break this cycle is to understand that your worth isn't tied to what you have or what you might lose. Watch how your mind creates stories about potential losses. Every attachment becomes a source of endless scenarios about what might go wrong. You're not just losing sleep over what you have, you're losing peace over what you might lose. This constant projection into future disasters isn't protection. It's self-torture. The art of detachment isn't about not caring. It's about caring without becoming enslaved by that care. The path to freedom starts with identifying your emotional hostages. Look at everything you're afraid to lose. Each one is a button others can push, a lever they can pull. These attachments aren't just sources of pain, they're points of vulnerability. Every time you say, "I can't lose this," or "I must have that," you're really saying, "Here's how to control me." True power comes from having no emotional hostages that life can hold against you. Liberation comes when you start questioning your attachments. Why do you need that person's approval? Why is that outcome so important? Why does that possession seem crucial to your happiness? Each attachment reveals a belief about what you think you need to be complete. But here's the truth. You were complete before any of these attachments, and you'll be complete after they're gone. Everything else is just temporary decoration. The ultimate mastery comes from understanding that nothing external can complete you. Every attachment is based on the illusion that something outside yourself can fill an inner void. But look closely. The void itself is created by attachment. The more you try to fill it with possessions, relationships, or achievements, the deeper it grows. True freedom comes from realizing you don't need any of it. The moment you truly understand this, you become untouchable, because there's nothing anyone can take from someone who has learned to let go of everything.